The second ever HIV is Not a Crime meeting took place in May 2016 at the University of Alabama, Huntsville. This advocacy training academy brought together more than 300 participants from 34 US states, as well as delegations from Canada and Mexico. Organized jointly by two HIV Justice Worldwide partners, the Zero Project and Positive Women's Network USA, this three-day meeting was a unique opportunity for the people most affected by HIV criminalization to come together, to have honest conversations, and to strategize about building an inclusive, collaborative movement.
Welcome each of you to the second HIV is Not a Crime Training Academy here on the beautiful campus of the University of Alabama in Huntsville.
We have so many warriors in this room, from people who are survivors who are actively working to address and repeal these laws, to grassroots organizers, working at the state level, some of whom just had a victory last week. You'll get to hear a little bit more about that later, but we are really proud to have the Colorado Mod Squad in the house with us. We have folks here who have been working to analyze these laws at the state level, the legal language for years and years, and produce tools for advocates. We have groups like Zero that are organizing a base of survivors and working with folks who are incarcerated, who are inside.
It is a truly community effort. Anyone who wanted to be involved in any aspect of producing this event, whether on the scholarship committee or the program committee or the venue and logistics committee or the media and outreach or fundraising, was welcome to participate. And over the course of the production of the event, I think there were well over 100 and some people participating on those calls. And we really see this as an event that comes out of the networks of people living with HIV, whether they're formal or informal. People with HIV working with each other to define our own agenda, to select leadership of our choosing, not leadership somebody else is choosing for us. And most importantly, to be able to speak with a collective voice. For me, it's the embodiment of a dream of where the self-empowerment movement can go, and how we can assure that real, true grassroots voice of what it is really like living with HIV in America today is heard and understood at the levels up here where policy is made and funding is decided.
We're here in this moment in the U.S. where criminalization is sort of on the agenda in an election year. We just had a recent victory in one state legislature in Colorado last week. We have a growing movement of people living with HIV who are more representative of the constituencies impacted than ever before, who are helping to lead us in new directions. And people are wanting to have deep conversations about what that means, right? So people are wanting to put decriminalization of HIV in the frame of thinking about racial justice and how we deal with immigration issues in this country and other things. And so we wouldn't know all of that if we didn't have a really open and inclusive planning process.
HIV criminalization survivor Kerry Thomas is fighting both his 30-year sentence and Idaho's unjust law. He spoke to the meeting via phone from prison.
My case has kind of taken a stall for a while, and the state court has dismissed the case. But that means that we're going to appeal to a higher court down the road. But it's a reminder for me of just how many steps we have to go, how many more things we have to work on. And it's not necessarily a sense of discouragement or frustration or those type of things. It's just another example of how outside support is so important to have, which I'm blessed to have. In those times when I do feel lonely, and those times when I may feel isolated from other people, that support from you guys is what gets me through those times. And that's nothing different than you guys experience every day as well. I know that all of us at times rely on people in our lives to get us through. So I guess when the question of what do I need, it's just that continued support, definitely, and to keep doing exactly what you guys are doing.
We're going to move to Noah, who was arrested for spitting but not found guilty. Can you share with us where you at right now?
Yeah, actually, I never spit. It just took someone saying that I spit on them, trying to give them AIDS. And when I was asked if I had AIDS, I said, no, I'm HIV positive. But then the handcuffs went on, and I was the one that was assaulted, and it happened in a Walmart. So luckily, it was captured on video. So she was able to get the video and actually prove to them that I never spit on anyone. But all it took was for me to admit that I had HIV. And otherwise, I would be telling a story from behind bars.
Ms. Leslie, can you tell us where you are at right now?
Well, I'm doing pretty good. My health is good. But I done been through the jail time too. I went to jail, you know. And I don't think it was right. But I didn't tell him. You know, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't tell him I was positive. But as time went on, I finally told him. So it was just a big congregation with him going back and forth to court. But they put me 4 years probation. Sex offender. I couldn't go to pools. I couldn't go by schools. But now, you know what, man? I went through all that. But you know what? God is good. You know, He's really good.
Until individuals see how hard it is to disclose when you don't even know how to disclose, when you're not even educated, when no one has even came to us and actually gave us the tools of how to disclose. You know, until someone has walked a day in our shoes, then calling us a monster, calling us the criminals, that's the wrong answer.
Apollo Gonzalez-Childs could barely contain his emotions when he told us how HIV criminalization had impacted his life.
I'm a brown man in Oklahoma, and there was a Caucasian female who assaulted me. I stepped away to call 911. During that time, she said I gave her HIV by sneezing on her.
Because I sneezed, supposedly, and I had a communicable disease, and because they're ignorant, they got to put a bag over my head and zip tie it at my neck that day. And so because I cussed at them, they were still going to court over that part.
They stereotyped me right off the bat because I'm HIV positive, and that stigma, it sucks. It makes you feel worthless and not important and not human. And
I appreciate coming to events like this, and I appreciate you guys who help fight the fight, and I appreciate you for not looking at me like I'm dirty because I have HIV. So.
We have to tell our stories. We have to tell the stories of our struggles. We have to tell the stories of our victories. We have to tell the stories of our challenges, and certainly the stories of the movement. What we're doing. This is historical.
Victories weren't just celebrated at the training academy, but what led to those victories was analysed and shared.
Okay, you guys have probably already heard about Colorado's groundbreaking change in law. Colorado just changed they repealed 2 statutes and changed the language of a third of their HIV criminalization law. Wait a minute. These folks worked on that for 4 years. 4 years, and were told they could not do it, and they never gave up. So I think the least we can do is raise the roof on this mother for a minute. A minute. Our job. Woo!
Stedman, you are an incredible Democrat. Thank you so much for your leadership.
Actually, I remember fighting the original laws when they passed years ago, and I've always wanted to get rid of them. I didn't think it was really something that was possible, but I met these folks from this group called the Mod Squad that have been working on modernizing our STI laws in Colorado, and they convinced me to give it a run this year.
You know, we changed the world. And when I think of that, it really gets me, because not only did we change the world for people living with HIV in Colorado, but we showed that it can happen, that people can really see something that's wrong and affect a change. And that makes me so damn proud of myself, of my group, of Senator Stedman, and of the advocates that are here at this conference, because so often we just throw ourselves at those walls trying to affect change and we don't see it happen. And we changed the world. And I'm so proud.
I am from Colorado and part of the Colorado Mod Squad. Y'all may have heard of us. And as we were talking about this group of amazing, phenomenal people and what we thought we were struggling with and what successes we were having, you want the blueprint, right? Yeah. I don't have the blueprint. Derek has it. He lies. But what I do have, and what I think is hopefully important, are some tools, right? So that's all we can kind of ask for as we do this. So I think the thing that I continue to tell people that is the most important, the two things are: A, your state is unique, and you need to know what that means for this movement, right? You are the expert in that because you live in that state and you know what the nuances of your state are. So trust in that and know, as people are giving you great advice, how to make that work for your state. The second piece of advice that I think is really important, because this was our first year in the legislature, I think people think that, unicorns and glitter were in play. But really, we worked on this for a lot of years before we went to the legislature. And it was a lot of work. And we did a lot of research, and you got to know your stuff. And it's hard to know your stuff because it's hard to understand the intricacies, but know kind of what you're talking about and know what your statutes are and know what the prosecutions have looked like, and really use the data in a way that is meaningful and can really push you forward.
We had a senator in Michigan, Senator Kahn, who proposed that we attach hepatitis C onto our HIV criminalization, so that now instead of just going to prison, felony conviction for not disclosing HIV, he felt it was a good thing to also say that, include hepatitis C. And so we went to Lansing, and we were literally lobbying, pulling people off of the floor, pulling up the legislators. And I had a legislator that I thought, this is going to be bad. I can't believe they're letting me want to talk to him because I'm, I'm usually kind of direct. And what he said to me was, no, I totally support that this bill dies. And I said, you do? What turned out that he was also on the Department of Corrections. And what he said was, in a committee, he said, we can't criminalize hepatitis C. We can't send people who have hepatitis C to prison and we have to pay for their treatment. No, so yeah, I will support it dying. And I was like, okay, wow.
Throughout the meeting, participants gained knowledge and skills through workshops and breakout sessions covering rights, policy and justice, campaign planning, strategy and messaging, and effective and accountable leadership.
States where people living with HIV have been leaders, change has happened. We've heard a lot today about MIPA, meaningful involvement of people with AIDS. We are the experts. We have to be at the table. We have to demand our place at the table. We have to fight to be there because this cannot happen without us.
We realize that we have a unique perspective. It is valuable. Our input is needed in order for us to win this particular campaign.
The biggest surprise of the night was a welcome video from Hillary Clinton.
The efforts of the Sero Project, Positive Women's Network, and conferences like HIV is Not a Crime lift us all up. As president, I'll work to reform outdated and stigmatizing federal HIV criminalization laws and call on the states to do the same. And I will aggressively enforce our current civil rights laws to fight HIV-related discrimination, stigma, and injustice. Together, I believe we can finally achieve what was once unthinkable, an AIDS-free generation. Thank you all very much.
Intersectionality, the concept of linking HIV criminalization with other forms of state-sponsored oppression, was a major focus of the meeting, representing an important shift in the movement.
HIV criminalization has been a priority for Positive Women's Network USA for a long time for a number of reasons. I mean, for one thing, we understand that criminalization of HIV intersects with a lot of other forms of criminalization that impact our communities, right? So from criminalization of sex work, criminalization of drug use, people being picked up for walking while trans, racist policing practices. These are all issues that are directly impacting our members every day. And it's no coincidence that a lot of times the same people targeted by HIV criminalization laws are the same folks who are targeted for a lot of these other things as well.
I'm really proud to that our sessions are being led by a real diversity of folks, including, we have people of immigrant experience leading, we have people of trans experience leading sessions, we have Black gay men and young Black queer folks leading sessions, and their voices really need to be centered in this discourse.
HIV is not a crime, and sex work shouldn't be a crime either. Sex work is a consensual act between two people and a negotiation for labor. Just like when you punch in your clock every morning, we can punch in our bodies, and this is what we do for labor. Our bodies, our lives do matter. We need to stop the criminalization. We need to stop the violence against us. We need to stop the abuse. We need community, and we need you.
Trans women, especially trans women of color living with HIV, is very much part of these conversations around criminalizations, and what we're trying to do is just to try to live our life. And currently we see lawmakers trying to pass all these crazy bills, just to tell us which bathroom we can and cannot use. So that's the insanity that we have to deal with. Being criminalized because of the differences of our bodies. Being criminalized because of our identity. That sounds vaguely familiar, right? Because we already been criminalized because of our immigration status, country of origin, skin color, what sex you were born in, and being poor. And now, we've got to be criminalized because we want to go use the bathroom.
And people continue be going to jail. And who are the people that go to jail first and foremost? Brown and Black and poor and queer people. And so it's very difficult to be someone who has all of these identities, being all of these different groups, because the negotiation of identities of yourself to put hats back and forth in places sometimes is ridiculous. And so today I just wanted to introduce myself as Marco, this guy that is trying to live his life in the US.
And so some of the lessons to be learned: don't do what the drug policy reform movement did. Be intersectional from the very beginning, right? Understand the role that respectability politics plays. It happens really hard in the drug policy reform movement. We have this thing where my drug use is fine, your drug use is a problem, right? We make those divisions, and we need to, in the HIV movement, make sure that we don't fall into those same traps, because those traps are sitting there waiting for us. There's a reason, right, that those are so easy to fall into. And then ultimately, it's a plea, I guess, that we as a movement develop an abolitionist framework and an abolitionist analysis and an abolitionist vision. The criminal justice system is never going to protect us. And if we continue to rely on it to do so, it will only let us down. That unless we are actually figuring out how to undo all of the ways in which we are controlled, and all of our body parts are controlled, and all of our bodies are controlled, right, we're not going to be able to undo any of these other things.
Many of the people that have already been on this talking about the whole person. We have to talk about sex workers' rights and how that disproportionately affects black people. We have to talk about police misconduct, policing, how we deal with policing in this country, and how that is also still a problem, and how it disproportionately affects black people. We have to talk about mass incarceration and how that prison industrial complex starts in our schools and disproportionately affects black people. We have to talk about the racist drug policies in this country, and we cannot forget to talk about Black trans lives matter. We cannot talk about how the trans lives in this nation are policed worse, and if you are a Black trans person, you are extremely policed within your community, but also by the state on how and who you can love and be with, and how you are allowed to be yourself and make a living. And all of these, for me, are health issues. All of these are issues to deal with my personal health. I ain't gonna be healthy if y'all still criminalizing me and my family, right? And if they are criminalizing, and when I say my family, I'm talking about all y'all, right? I'm talking about all of us. If they are continuing to criminalize our bodies for who we are, that is a problem. And that is why the intersectionality connecting these issues is truly important. The last piece I'm going to talk about now, a lot of folks have talked about modernization of laws here. You are not going to get this energy. You are not going to get the people that you want that have been out in these streets for the movement for Black lives talking about modernizing laws. You have to think about decriminalization, true repeal of these outrageous laws. That you cannot just start talking to me about modernizing things to try to make it sound better, because I ain't gonna modernize my way to liberation. That's not gonna be the case, right? That's not gonna be my case.
In order to really turn the tides, we really need to have the most marginalized overrepresented in conferences, so everyone can have a chance to have conversations with them. And in order to do that, we need your help. I mentioned transgender people are more likely to live less than $12,000 a year. How on earth are they going to travel, to pay for registrations, to pay for hotels, lodgings? You know, this is one of the most affordable conferences, but it still costs money. So how do we do this?
You know, we wouldn't be here without our sponsors. You know, Sean worked so hard and everyone to raise money to bring us all here. 168 people we were able to bring here on scholarships.
A keynote speech from Mary Fisher, one of the first women with HIV to speak out publicly in the United States, continued the theme of including everyone in the movement.
We need the fresh recruits and new voices that come to join us. We need their energy and their passion. They renew us with their youth and invigorate us with their certainty. But we also need the veterans, those who have suffered long and often, those who have earned the right of retirement but have never once gone away.
Community building was an essential objective of this training academy. By sharing every meal and living together on campus, friendships and lasting networks were formed and nurtured, even way beyond US borders.
We had a whole delegation from Mexico here with us. And so I want to go ahead and bring up the fabulous Mexico delegation to talk to us a little bit about their experience.
No tenemos el nivel y nos sorprende mucho de criminalización que estamos observando en Estados Unidos. pero tenemos miedo que eso se copie para allá.
We don't have the level of criminalization that happens here in the US, and we're very surprised. It was a big lesson for us here. But we're also afraid that Mexico would want to replicate what the US is doing on that regard.
Pero tenemos otras acciones que criminalizan sobre la vida cotidiana y eso no nos gusta. Si combinamos experiencias, tenemos mucho que llevarnos de aquí, pero podemos compartir experiencias nuestras. Creemos que podemos golpear la criminalización simultáneamente y queremos que el idioma no nos impida lograr estrategias conjuntas.
And also we want that language doesn't become a barrier for us to strategize together.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Antes que todo, estamos acá con la voz de la gente de la comunidad hispana y vamos a hablar con Liz, que ella viene de Guadalajara. ¿Qué sacas de esta conferencia para llevar a México?
Es un orgullo estar aquí por primera vez yo en este lugar porque realmente es una experiencia muy padre y es llevar y compartir a México las ideas tan grandes que se tienen en esta conferencia.
We also had some special guests from Canada, and I want to go ahead and bring up our Canadian delegation here to give us a little bit of a report.
I'm so happy we had the opportunity to do this. Thank you so much to the organizer of the conference, to you for opening your doors, for welcoming us. Thank you to HIV Justice Worldwide, this new coalition funded by the Robert Carl Fund. This has been a wonderful experience for us. We've been working really hard on HIV criminalization for many years, and sometimes we had some victories, sometimes not, and it's been difficult. But your work, your energy, your activism, your strategy have very inspired us.
It's been really uplifting and inspiring to be around so many activists who are passionate. We need to continue community building and forming alliances and making sure that there is space for people who don't have access to these conferences to attend.
I like that I get to know and to meet more people and be able to have really productive conversations about what they've been doing in their states.
I'm here to get more information. I'm trying to become an advocate in Sioux City.
I wasn't even aware of the HIV criminalization laws that existed on the book until I got here today.
And if I wasn't around such fierce and dedicated advocates, I never would have known that I needed to even that I had a part to play in any of this.
I am here today because HIV criminalization means a great deal to me as a person living with HIV.
Anyone who's been prosecuted could be me, and I'm here speaking for not just my life, but for those who already have been affected by HIV criminalization laws.
There is this solidarity, there is this, just close-knitted group feeling that I don't get to feel when I attend other big conferences.
The empowerment, giving me power to go back and speak to my peers about what is happening here.
And I intend to take it home, share it with other people that are in my community, so that we can work on the criminalization laws in Ohio.
We've got a long road ahead of us, but I think with the strategies that are happening during the conference that we can make some progress.
And we fight for it.
Because now is the time to speak up.
As the meeting came to a close, advocates from each state shared their strategic plans on how exactly they would be fighting HIV criminalization once they got back home.
We want to hear from you all what some of your plans are. And so I'm going to go ahead and ask the folks who are designated to report back from your states to start lining up here.
Hey y'all, I'm Alex. I'm from Birmingham in this great state of Alabama.
My name is Barb. I'm from Arizona.
Carrie Foote, Indiana. I brought 10 people with me. 2/3 of us are people living with HIV.
We've started traveling across the state, doing town hall meetings to educate on these issues. And we're not just focusing on the urban areas, but most particularly including the rural areas as well.
And we talked about making sure that our strategies include everyone. We don't leave behind immigrants, the trans community, the Black community, intravenous drug users.
We're going to do a short film for people from around the state who've been prosecuted.
We have another goal was going to be to collect data, right to know searches, nexus searches, sex offender registries, and we're going to also build leadership in the process of people living with HIV to lead this campaign.
We are now working on our talking points to go and to educate the DAs, prosecutors, police, educators, the other HIV community. But we have our action groups ready to go, and next year we will be presenting that bill to the state Congress. And wish us luck, because it's going to be a fight.
Give it up for Tennessee.
So for the past 3 years, we've had a working group. We have draft legislation which would change the law to say that it's a misdemeanor, that the prosecution has to prove intent, an act that was likely to cause transmission and transmission. And so we're hoping to get that introduced in the next session. And then we also had some challenging discussion about whether we want to repeal or reform, and that's a live question that we really got stoked with during this conference. Thank you, Georgia.
Florida has 4 laws, including loitering and body fluid laws, that are third-degree felonies. So we have the support, thankfully, of our Senator Garcia, who has already made a progressive step in introducing an amendment to a Senate bill. He introduced the amendment and then withdrew it so that we could work on it behind the scenes to actually change it.
So in New Jersey, we will be advocating for total repeal of all HIV criminalization laws. Those are one of the things that the group has decided on.
Thank you so much. Wow. Y'all are ready to go home and make it happen. Y'all are ready to go home and make it happen. Yes. We're about to do this. We're about to do this.
We are determined to fight.
We are determined to win.
We must always love and support each other.
We have nothing to lose but our chains.
Ashe.